Fam, what is going on? Good morning to you. Happy Thursday. It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? Today is Thursday, October 3rd. Today on the show, trending college football headlines, the injury report for the game against Vanderbilt, Ryan Williams versus the greats. I'm going to ask you some yes or no questions, and I just want to ask you straight up, who is your favorite Alabama football player of all time? What's going on? I appreciate you guys being here. Definitely drop me a thumbs up. And I appreciate you guys being a part of the show today. I'm feeling good. I'm not going to lie. I feel a lot of gratitude. I'm feeling on fire, to be honest. There's a lot of positive things that are going on in my life, and I hope that kind of reverberates into your life. You know, there's no time to be sad. There's no time for the poor me's. There's no time for the life of rat poison. I'm not going to buy into it. I'm feeling too good, feeling too strong, and I hope that is going into your bones, and I hope that you are having an amazing Thursday, and I hope that all your dreams, all your wishes come true and blessings on blessings. If you are impacted by the storm, our thoughts and prayers are out to you. If you are impacted by something out there other in life, our thoughts and prayers to you. Keep striving for greatness. Keep digging in. Keep fighting. Keep doing your thing. I appreciate you guys and roll tide to you. Good morning. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. If you're new to the show, hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. If you're like, my goodness, where's that energy coming from? It's coming from my heart. All right. Every single show is handcrafted from my art. There's no script here. There's no script. I meditate before the show. I watch some funny stuff, and I come on, and I try my best to deliver. All right, so I appreciate you guys for being here. Let me know where you guys are watching from inside the comment box. I'm coming to you from Hollywood, Alabama. You know, it used to be Tuscaloosa before Ryan Williams took over. But someone told me that there's already a Hollywood, Alabama. So we're just going to say Hollywood from here on out, all right? I appreciate you guys being here. I got this last night. We made a run to Dick's Sporting Goods. Kaden needed a sleeve for his leg, and I saw this. I was like, come on, are you serious? So let's do it. All right, let's jump right into it. I appreciate you guys being here, and let's get it popping. All right, so trending headlines for today on college football. All right, Greg Sankey dismisses the idea of being the college football commissioner. Did you see this? Basically, he said, look, there's right now talks of some sort of 70-team playoff league or some 70-team college football league that would could join, in the next couple of years. And it was asked if he wanted to be the college commissioner of that. He said, you know what, that would dumb down what the SEC has going on. And I got to thinking about it. I was like, number one, I appreciate Greg Sankey speaking his mind. That's one thing that I do respect about that guy. He's not afraid to absolutely tell you how he feels. I loved last year on the playoff committee when he was like, look, one thing is not like the other. And the SEC is completely different than all of the conferences. I think after that, you go to the Big Ten. But let's face it, the ACC and the Big 12, they are not the same as the SEC. The SEC, that's why I think this year, whoever wins the SEC title, my goodness, that's like the championship within a championship itself, right? And I think a lot of organizations, programs, whatever you want to call them, want to be a part of the SEC because they understand that fabric and that level of play, and most importantly, the money that comes in the SEC. I think if there was ever to be a college football commissioner down the road, the perfect guy would be Coach Saban, clearly. But what Coach Saban is doing on ESPN, you don't want to touch that. But I think in this article, and it was a great article by CBS, Greg Sankey was like, look, if I become the college football commissioner of this league or whatever, it's not going to necessarily impact or change the problems that are existing in college football. NIL, the transfer portal. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed before this league even does be created. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting, kind of the leading off the day, because I think the more that we go forward, I would imagine that someday there's some sort of super league. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think fixing the problems that exist right now in terms of all these transfer portal windows and NIL, because there's not a lot of parameters around it, those need to be tightened up first. So we'll see what happens. But I think Coach Saban, clearly anything that he touches is for the better. It makes things better. I mean, we showed yesterday the ratings for College Football Game Day. They're absolutely on fire. And I think with his wisdom and where he is at in his life, he could be a great college football commissioner. But I don't know if anybody wants to touch that at this point in time. All right, biggest college football disappointments. We'll jump right into that. Clearly, Auburn is one of them. I mean, the way that Auburn has started out, specifically with their games at home, I mean, 2-3, they were so fired up about getting Hugh Freeze, someone who could resurrect their program, kind of put things back on track. You look at the amount of head football coaching changes that Auburn has had within the last couple of years. Man, why did they let go of Gus Malzahn? Like, he beat Saban a couple times. Like, at least they were kind of formidable. You look at the trajectory of them, you know, it's not it. This week they take on Georgia. And I was reading an article. Let me ask you this. Yes or no, right now, inside the comment box, do you think that Auburn even makes a bowl game this year? No. Look at their schedule. I don't think they make a bowl game. We won 2 games right now at this point in time, right? I don't think they're going to beat Georgia, right? So, man, in the SEC, the more that you dive into it, the harder and harder it gets. Okay, so I think they're absolutely a disappointment. I think for Auburn football fans, you're really disappointed with what is happening. But on the flip side, hey, the recruiting is popping, right? I mean, look at the guys that you have recruiting-wise. They have done a great job. Last night, they're able to steal national headlines which was really surprising to me. And I think we all knew that Deuce Knight, who's a dual-threat quarterback who was committed to Notre Dame, someone said the check cleared. Whatever. I mean, they clearly need a quarterback, right? If there's any program out there that needs a quarterback, it's Auburn. So Deuce Knight, who is an electric dual-threat quarterback, flips his commitment, and that's something that we kind of expected from Notre Dame to Auburn. Auburn does have a really good recruiting class. I just want to tell you, they have not signed any of those guys yet, right? So the more that you trend downward, things change, and we're not even to flip season yet. You've seen some other guys start to enter the transfer portal, other guys sitting out to go somewhere else. Like, if you start losing, you are not the cool program anymore. So absolutely a big disappointment. But the thing is, this is the truth. No matter where they go during this season, you know that come the Iron Bowl, these guys will put together this miraculous game against Alabama. Happens all the time. And usually it happens when the game is at Jordan-Hare Stadium, not necessarily Bryant-Denny. But if you look at the score, anytime you go down to the barn, my goodness, who knows what's going to happen in that game? So you know that they will bring their best to Alabama to try to disrupt what Alabama has going at that point in time. Todd has them at 4-8. But absolutely a huge disappointment. They're not even on the same spectrum. Before the game, you have Auburn losing to Oklahoma, choking, right? On the other side, you have in Hollywood, Alabama, the Crimson Tide beating Georgia in front of 14 million people. 14 million. That's how many watched the game. J.S. Webb's production. What's up? Chris from New Jersey. I appreciate you being here. Ron Self, what's going on, man? Thank you very much. Charles Weaver, North Alabama Storm Chase. Thanks for being here this morning right here on Bama Football on YouTube. And look, Florida State, again, like I can't even believe what's happening there. And I feel bad for the players that were sold a fake pipe dream about going to Florida State and that they were going to capitalize off this, season that they had last year. I've been harping on this for a long time. They've won 1 game since last December, and they really shouldn't have won that game. They beat Cal. Is Auburn worse than Florida State? Think about that. Cal beat Auburn, and Florida State beat Cal, right? Jonesy, what's up, man? Florida State now without their quarterback, which is probably a better thing for them going forward. SMU just beat the pants off them, and I think their quarterback, DJU, has like a finger or something like that, so he's out. They shouldn't have started him. Look, I think we saw enough in that first game against Georgia Tech to be like, he is not the guy. I feel bad for Malik Benson. I feel bad for Roydell Williams. I think that those 2 guys are the best players on their team. Chris from New Jersey's like, don't feel bad they got paid. That's probably true. Yo, if the money was right and they went, I guess. But, man, being a part of Florida State, that's just not it. Man, did Alabama dodge a bullet by not, trying to go after Mike Norvell? Remember when there was kind of like talks about it? Look, this happened, okay? when Dan Lanning, I guess, was like mentioned, Oregon put out this big social media vibe that he was staying, right? Then there was another program that did it too. Oh, Steve Sarkisian, right? That he wasn't going anywhere. Florida State did the same thing, that they were like keeping their guy. Man, talk about dodging a bullet. Florida State, biggest disappointment in college football by far. That's why they didn't make the playoffs, because everybody knew what it was really like over there. All right, we talked about Auburn flipping Deuce Knight. That is something that we expected. It finally happened last night. It's kind of surprising with all the stuff that is going on at Auburn. Then I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, Auburn does need a quarterback. So, here we are. I don't know. ESPN Power Rankings right now at this point in time on October 3rd, you have Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia, and Miami. I was surprised to kind of see Tennessee over Georgia. I'm going to ask you in the back end of the show what you think about Tennessee. The way that Georgia team fought, I got a lot of respect for those guys. And the job's not done for any of these teams. There's a long season to go. Miami, I'm kind of watching them going to Cal. Yo, check out this new mug, too. I know. I went to Dick's and I saw this. Look at these. This is Devontae Smith. Y'all, I'm getting geared up. Man, you like this? Smitty. All right, JS Web Production is a level 1 fan funder. Thank you so much for supporting the show right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Here's an updated Alabama injury report. This was released last night. This season, the SEC will provide a student availability report each night at 7:10 p.m. So you could theoretically just go there and check it yourself. I'll bring the news to you if there's like significant news. I'm not going to do this every night because I don't think that, these might change from, probable to whatever. But, I don't think I think by game time decision, I guess that's next. But here you go. You have Kendrick Law with the lower leg questionable. And Coach Kalen DeBoer said yesterday morning during his SEC teleconference that he wouldn't count out Kendrick Law playing, which I think is great news. And then with Justin Jefferson, same thing. And if the guy isn't listed here, it's not a significant update. Tim Keenan is playing. That's what I'm saying. And Devontae Smith, he's good to go. If the guys were here, they would be listed as an injured player. But Tim Keenan's good to go. Hey, Timothy, I appreciate you being a fan funder as well. Thank you so much, man. You and JS Webb, that's what's up. So these are the only two guys that you're watching. And I also hit on the fact last night, a lot of people talking about Jalen Hell recently, that he was seen running out with the team. I didn't see that. I can't find it. And I did see Tim Keenan at the practice yesterday on the clips that Alabama football released. I don't have a specific update on Jalen Hell. He's the wide receiver that was injured during the springtime. I would imagine if he does play or come back, it's at the back end of the season. But right now, with all the talent that Alabama has at the wide receiver position, I think it's important that he gets healthy and he comes back when he's 100%. It would be a remarkable story if he plays at the end of this year. I wouldn't put it past Alabama football and the athletic training facilities to be able to get him up to speed. Those guys do remarkable work. We've talked about that plenty of times. So I know every single day he's in rehab, and he suffered a really nasty injury during the springtime. That's the most significant injury that we've had probably in a while. So, prayers up to Jalen Hell in his continued progression. Again, he's a wide receiver. Seriously, people were talking about him getting a lot of playing time this year. That's how talented he is. I mean, think about this. He caught for more yards last year than Kendrick Law did, right? Hey, Timothy, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you very much for the support and, for watching Bama Football on YouTube every single day. I have a live show pretty much every day, I guess. I love it. Who is Deuce Knight and why is Auburn fans so mentally unstable? Deuce Knight is a dual threat quarterback. I think he's number 2 dual threat quarterback in the country. He was committed to Notre Dame. It's been in talks for a long time that he would flip to Auburn, and he did so last night. Yeah, and what's dope about this Langshirt? The dopest thing is they got the old school Alabama logo in there, right? And for those of you out there like kind of wondering about sizes and stuff like that, this is actually a medium, but I am 200 pounds. So I don't know. I guess it runs, you know. So like when you're out there doing your sizing, put that in. I think Deuce is a good quarterback. They need a quarterback. The old school logo is taking over. All right. That's the injury report. Here is the game day forecast. We continue to do this every single week. I asked North Alabama Storm Chase. I told him that I wanted to continue to do weather. I like weather. Who doesn't? I think when you get, you know what's funny? Is this true? The older you get in life, the more that you pay attention to the weather. I'm just getting older. I love it. So here's the game day forecast for this Saturday. The tailgate, which will be 78. Yo, if you have been to Nashville, if you have been to Vanderbilt, what's cool is like the university is like right there. It's cool. So you can walk through and you can see all the students doing their thing. The tailgate temperature 78 feels like 78 for kickoff 83. Man, it's gonna be hot for all those 28,000 Alabama football fans. Seriously, there'll be like 2,000 Vanderbilt fans. It's the weirdest thing to see. I've never seen anything like it. It is all Alabama football fans. The whole thing. And for the fourth quarter, 774 as you walk to or you get your Uber to Broadway. Behave yourself. Don't be throwing chairs or anything off any bars on Broadway. All right. So thanks, North Alabama Storm Chase. And you can follow them on Facebook. All right. I was thinking about this, and then I saw an article that Tim Watts put out on On3. Does a really great job. And he kind of posted, like, where's Ryan Williams versus other great wide receivers? And I was like, damn, that because I was thinking about doing this kind of like on a weekly basis. So here are the stats for all of these guys as freshmen. I love this. I love statistical. You know me. I love data. So here's what Ryan Williams is at versus the greats, right? So Calvin Ridley up at the top during his freshman year caught for 89 receptions, right? 1,045 yards and 7 touchdowns in his freshman year. Does anybody remember who his quarterback was? His freshman year. Amari Cooper. Look at these guys. 59 catches for 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Who is his quarterback? Does anybody remember his freshman year? Julio Jones, his freshman year, 58 balls, 924 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Jalen Waddle, 45 receptions, 848 yards with 7 touchdowns. You know, I got here, I think the final year of Calvin Ridley. So I didn't see, like living in Tuscaloosa, I didn't see Coop and I didn't see Julio Jones. Now I did see Jalen Waddle and, of course now Ryan Williams. But look at this company. And what's amazing is I think we sometimes forget because we get so, caught up in what Ryan Williams is doing right now, which is amazing. But, man, these guys as true freshmen, you don't play. The freshmen don't play at Alabama. Look at what these guys did. And now look at where they are. Man. You look at the career that Julio Jones had in the NFL. You look at what Waddle's doing, Cooper, Ridley. Man. So, in just 4 games, here it is. I would imagine things continue to go his way. He's on top in terms of yards. I don't know about receptions. Ridley caught my goodness, look at the amount of receptions that he had. Right? So here's Calvin Ridley in his first year at Alabama. By the way, his quarterback was Coker. All right? So he gets here. And one of the things that stands out to me is while these wide receivers had successful freshman year, none of them really had like an impactful jump like Ryan Williams has. And I'll explain why. I think, Henry Ruggs, what was his first 5 catches were 5 touchdowns, right? But I think like so let's look at it. So here's Calvin Ridley, first year gets to Alabama. And again, this year, Ridley's quarterback was Coker. Okay? So he has 3 receptions, 4 against middle, 6, 4, 5. So he's getting, against Georgia, he had a nice showing, right? I mean, almost kind of similar to what Ryan Williams did. Probably not, Ryan Williams caught for 177 and a touchdown. Arkansas, he went crazy. 9 receptions for 140. So look what he did. And, right there in terms of, the back-to-back performance against Georgia and Arkansas. Caught a ton of balls, right? Even down to Florida, he caught 8 for 102, and then at Michigan State, 8 for 138, and then 6 for 14. So it totals out to 89 receptions that year. Very impressive. That's a ton of volume, right? Timothy, hey, Kyle, I'm thinking about doing my own show in about 6 months to a year. I'm going to be doing college football predictions for every game, playoffs. Just stay consistent. Stay consistent and be yourself. I think that's my advice to any of the content creators that have worked here, that, are out there on the grind. I mean, I think the successful content creators are the ones who are consistent, but also on top of that are just themselves, right? I mean, look, like when you have so many subscribers, you're not going to be able to please them all, but what people do appreciate, is basically, the pride and performance that you have within your show, the consistency, your delivery, and, treat people as they're supposed to be treated. So, that's kind of my advice to you. Here's Amari Cooper. In his first year with the Crimson Tide. You guys know who Cooper's quarterback was this year? I mean, I guess you could arguably say he had the best quarterback, A.J. McCarron. I mean, I would probably say Jalen Milroe, the way that he played, man, that guy is absolutely balling out. I appreciate it, Jarvis. Thanks for the compliments, man. Yeah, the feeling the swag today. So when you look at Amari Cooper, what he did, you look at the way he started, 1 reception, 2 receptions, 2 receptions, 4. And then he started heating up the middle of the season against Mississippi, 8 for 84. 7 for 162. I was looking, and then look at that back end of the season. My goodness. 109, 128, 105. And when I was thinking about this, and when I started looking at the stats and kind of comparing them to Ryan Williams, there's been no wide receiver that has caught for more than, Ryan Williams has already caught for the most wide receivers out of all these guys, which is 177 against Georgia, which I thought was amazing. And no one's had as hot a start as Ryan Williams. All right, we look at Julio Jones. So he gets here. He catches a touchdown in his first game, 428, right? 5 for 66 against Western Kentucky, 5 for 95. Looks like everybody has toasted Georgia. That's interesting, too. All the freshmen, if you notice this, all the freshman wide receivers have been cooking Georgia. At Tennessee, 103. And LSU, he has 728. So a lot of these wide receivers, too, as freshmen, turned up in big-time games. I mean, look at against Florida in a loss. He has 5 for 124. Man, but everybody's cooking Georgia. Look, Calvin Ridley. This is Calvin Ridley. Look, 5 for 20, 120. Amari Cooper. 8 for 128. And then Julio Jones, 5 for 94. That's crazy. And then Ryan Williams had 6 for 177. Everybody's cooking Georgia as their freshman year. That means you're going to be a great. Dang, look. And I didn't even see this. And then against Georgia, Jalen Waddle, 4 for 113. Damn. Everybody cooked Georgia their freshman year. That means you're going to be an all-time great if you cook Georgia in your first year here at Alabama. Wow. I didn't even know that until I was running through the show right now. That's crazy. So here's Jalen Waddle and his quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Now, also, when you look at a player like Jalen Waddle, look at the wide receivers that he had to compete against, right, for catches. Max Tooney saying all 3 had over 100 against Tennessee. Good point out, too. Okay, Louisville. And the other thing that I did, you can see here with Jalen Waddle is he also returned punts, right? So he went crazy against Louisiana, 3 for 138 against Tennessee. He also had a punt return for 63 yards. Jalen Waddle was crazy. I think the difference with him is like he was so shifty. These other guys, clearly, bigger wide receivers, playmakers, but Jalen Waddle was like shifty type playmaker, right? Some of the plays he made here, watching him for Alabama, just amazing. Look at this, against Georgia, he had 4 receptions for 113 and a punt return for 36 yards. All right, now we look at Ryan Williams. Just 4 games. We just had 4 opportunities to watch him. This is the crazy thing, man, is like the first 2 catches that this guy has are 2 touchdowns, right? 139, wild. Now, he didn't really slow down against South Florida. 4 for 68, touchdown longest to 43. Keeps it hot, going with 4 receptions, 78 against Wisconsin. That was a tight touchdown that he caught, too. And look at these longest, 84, 43, 47, right? And then against Georgia, man, he was absolutely cooking. And clearly there's, a bunch of other Alabama wide receivers that we're not mentioning, that we're not talking about. No disrespect to those guys. Just, those are some of the greats here at Alabama. But you look at is this running back you? Is this wide receiver you? Yeah. Look at the guys, right? But Hollywood is just, woof, man. What this dude is doing right now. It's just, and like I said yesterday, I think that I'm just enjoying it. One thing that I have learned in covering Alabama football is these guys come in and they go out. And it's fast, the way that happens, right? That's why I'm just taking the opportunity just to watch like a young cat like this, like do his thing. Like this is amazing. The guy, and one of the great things that we've seen is the way that Alabama has helped these guys build their brand, right? One of the things that the University of Alabama did was they built this studio for these guys to have their own shows, their own podcasts, to be creative in their own space, to continue to build off their own personal platform, right? It's cool to see. I love, living at this time and watching these guys grow and getting some experience and expressing themselves, having fun with it. It's awesome. And the social media team does an amazing job continuing to promote these guys. I saw that On3 put him at, estimated evaluation at like 1.5, which I think is amazing, but I think it's much more than that. I'm just, I don't have like data to say that, but every single person that you talk to is talking about Ryan Williams. And that's just here. College football, they're talking about him as well. Like he's got like a global impact. You saw, and you're like global. Did you see the Japanese call? Did you see this? Right, like I didn't even know this was done. But there are some Japanese sportscasters who have a call on Ryan Williams scoring a touchdown. Did you see this? I saw it. They had it in Mexico City as well. Of course, it was in Spanish, right? He's like global. You know who loves Alabama football is Mexico City. You saw that from, right? All right. I got some yes or no questions for you. All right. I want some participation in this, so this will just be yes or no. We'll go over each of them. So just yes or no inside the comment box, okay? All right. With the way that things are trending for Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, 1,200 yards so far total, 18 total touchdowns. His performance on a national stage in front of 14 million people, right? People are starting to talk about Jalen Milroe as a first-round draft pick. Okay? There's a lot of football left. Job's not done. Just yes or no. And I know this will be heavy Alabama lean because it's an Alabama show. Do you think that Jalen Milroe will be a first-round draft pick? Yes or no? And be honest. No one's going to be mad about, if you say no. But yes or no, just right now, from what you've seen, the story of Jalen Milroe. I love it, right? We're watching like a Netflix series right now on the kid. Yes or no, type yes or no inside the comment box if you think that he's going to be a first-round draft pick. North Alabama Storm Chase is saying early second round. Cody is saying yes. Walt is saying yes. Case is saying absolutely. Man, and I started thinking about this myself. I was like, man, where could Jalen Milroe end up? And what type of, system would fit him best? I'm thinking that he is a first round draft pick. Like for sure. Where does he fall? When you look at the other quarterbacks that are out there, other quarterbacks that are taken. So we got a few no's in here, which is fine. I think it's a valid question. I think people are certainly talking about this. And you start to look at I think Bryce going to Carolina, why it was great with him going number one, man, sometimes that certainly handcuffs your overall development because you don't have the players around you. Now, I know Andy Dalton is taking over and he's kind of throwing the football, but man, Bryce didn't have anything to work with. I could definitely see Jalen at New York, with the Giants. The Patriots could certainly use him. The Raiders, that would be interesting. So I don't know, starting to watch kind of like NFL talk and this and that. I mean, he's starting to move up in terms of a first-round draft pick, and he continues to accelerate. And look, he played against a pro-type defense. You saw the intermediate. I was listening to the Hey Coach show last night with Coach Kalen DeBoer that's on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And Coach Kalen DeBoer was saying we worked and improved on that intermediate passing game, which they did. 11 different wide receivers were fed against Georgia. That Bama Mike, that scares me. Jalen to the Dolphins, yo. And the crazy thing is, look, we all love Tua, but clearly he's gone through so much, so many injuries. The thing about Jalen is his wear and tear. Man, the guy has continued. I mean, last year he got sacked 44 times. The dude popped up every single time. Him with the Dolphins, it scares me. You imagine him having Waddle, Cheetah, A-Chain, Mostert. That's terrifying. Depending on what happens with Tua or whatever, even if he was to go to the Dolphins and just sit, man, that's terrifying. All right. So thanks for the feedback on that. I was just kind of curious as we started to think about it. I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick. There's plenty of teams that need a quarterback in the NFL. Jaden Daniels is killing it. All right. This is another question that I have, and I was thinking about this, and it might be too early. And one of the things is I think we've really taken in Kane Womack as fans, right? I think we have appreciation for him. We can tell that he's been a head coach before. He's been in LA for a long time. He's from the fabric of Alabama. And I like the way that he conducts himself. I was thinking, and Alabama fans have such a high standard for defense. And yes, the game has changed to grass basketball, but still the defensive standards are still very high. So my question to you is, and I ask this because, look, Kevin still did a good job with the Alabama defense. There was rumors that Coach Saban just took over and it was him and T-Rob that were calling defense, and that might have been the case. Whatever the case was, the defense was really good last year. Do you think that the defense is better than last year? Or do you need more time? But let's just keep it yes or no, just from what we've seen right now. Is the defense better than last year? Yes or no inside the comment box. This is a tough one for me. For me, I'm going to say no, because I need more data points for this one. So I'm going to say no. I think by the end of the season, or even within a couple more games, I could change my answer to yes. Fromm is saying same. Charles saying yeah. A lot more yeses than I thought. I need more data points because the first 3 games, it didn't really show me much, but I've because of the competition. But the third down, that conversion rate, what is it, like 17%? That's elite. And then you played Georgia, who could pass, but Carson Beck, I don't know. That's a tough one for me. The thing I do like, too, is the third down percentage this year for the Alabama defense, and the fact that Miller is saying yes, and the fact that the inside linebackers are free. And you've seen this year, we haven't seen this. This is a true statement. We haven't seen this in a little while. We'll have to go back and look at the overall stats. But Jahad Campbell and Deontay Lawson, they're leading the team in tackles. Inside linebackers should be the guys leading your team in tackles, in my opinion. Jahad Campbell has 32 tackles. Deontay Lawson has 31. So, Georgia Bourne is asking, did Saban really have a role in choosing DeBoer? I don't know. That could have been one of our yes or no questions, too. I would imagine that he had feedback in the room. But look, credit to Greg Byrne. He's gone out and he brought in Nate Oates. He saw a lot in Coach Kalen DeBoer. Eventually, he was going to have to, get a new coach at Alabama. Coach Saban was going to coach forever. So I don't know. It seems like there's more yeses than nos, and I get it. Sometimes everything that's happening now is better than it did. But Alabama's defense was pretty good last year, and they made some really good second half adjustments. I don't know. I'm kind of like second guessing myself here, but maybe more data points, and I'll change my opinion. But I'm gonna say no, and maybe give the defense some reverse rat poison, just for now. All right. My next question for you, yes or no, would you consider the offensive line elite? I know elite is like, that's a big word. And I ask this because the way that Alabama has played since the addition of Caden Proctor against Wisconsin, they've been really good. The first 2 games, I don't know, we were kind of stressing out a little bit, right? Wilcom Formby gets his feet wet as a redshirt freshman. The guy gets eaten up. But now, this offensive line with Proctor and now Pritchett playing well, is looking at the pass blocking ratings for Caden Proctor and for Parker Brailsford specifically. Those guys have been doing really well. Caden Proctor's at like 84.1. Elite's a big word, I know. Mike G saying no. They might not be elite, so I'm going to say no. They're not elite, right? But they're much better than last year, and they're playing much better right now than the beginning of the season. If we were to ask, are they trending the right direction? That's 1,000,000% yes. You're either going up or down, and the offensive line is going up. Elite, probably too big of a word to use, but are they better? And do we have confidence on the offensive line now? Yes, 1,000,000%. The thing is, work in progress. There you go. Thank you. And how about this? No sacks against Georgia. And the snaps, look, Parker Brailsford, I was talking about this yesterday. He is the guy that we thought he was going to be. I guess the only reservation we had, we're like kind of wondering, well, he's kind of small. He's not like, this big bully of a dude. But the guy he's really athletic. There's been a couple times I've been watching film and I've seen 72 kind of on the outside. So he'll block and then he'll get to somewhere else and he'll be blocking someone else. He's super athletic. Okay, so elite's a big word. Maybe I shouldn't have used that word. But I thought, they've done a much better job since week 1 and 2. Because after that game, even going into Wisconsin, I was kind of stressing a little bit. B Woods like define elite. All right, that's a big word. All right. Let me ask you this. Yes or no? Is Tennessee for real? Is Tennessee for real? Like a legit contender? Mitchell, I don't know. That's a good question. I would imagine that, going into that game, that Georgia would probably be one of the teams with the top offensive line. I know they're missing Tate Ratledge. But yeah, you bring it up. I mean, the offensive line. Yeah, Ruben's saying the interior offensive line, man. Yeah, maybe they are elite. All right, so my question for you guys now, is Tennessee for real? Like a legit contender? Charles saying yes. JS Webb saying yes. Andre saying no. This is another one. I don't know. I'm not fully sold. I know they beat Oklahoma. Their quarterback is a baller. Right? They struggle with Oklahoma. That was on the road. Man, this is a tough one for me. In the ESPN Power Index, I think they're number 4. I think they're ahead of Georgia. And I was like, I don't know. So is Tennessee for real, yes or no? Top 10? Yeah, top 10 for sure. But like a legit team is like a top 4 team. Like Bama, Ohio State, Texas. Like we feel good about all those teams. Georgia, Tennessee, I don't know. We're going to find out. When Alabama goes up to Neyland Stadium, we're going to find out for sure. Josh Heupel's good. That quarterback is really good. So we'll see. Well, does Tennessee beat Ole Miss? And I get it. Ole Miss just lost to Kentucky, and we're like, but Kentucky almost beat Georgia. And they should have beat Georgia. I don't know. I think Ole Miss might have been eating some rat poison. Because they hadn't played anybody. And maybe Kentucky's just kind of found their groove. Yeah, I saw that case that ESPN has Tennessee. That's why I was asking. And who wins? Let me ask you this before we move to my next question. Who wins, Tennessee or Ole Miss? I would imagine the total on that game is like 120 points. Remember that game? What was it? LSU and Ole Miss? Was that last year or 2 years ago? It was like 70-60 or something like that between Ole Miss and LSU. Latoya asked, do you think Josh Heupel is saving his best offense? Probably. Yo, Josh Heupel he's good, man. The last time they went up there, we all know what happened. If you're going up to that game, bring earplugs. That Rocky Top will be shoved down your eardrums. They never stop playing it. They play it the entire time. It is a cool place to go watch a game. I will say that. All right. I don't know. I'm going to say no right now for Tennessee. Is Tennessee a legit contender? I'm going to say no. So here are my answers. So will Jalen Milroe be a first-round draft pick? I said yes. Is this defense better than last year's? I said no. At this point in time, would you consider this offensive line elite? I said no, because elite's a huge word. Is Tennessee for real? I said no. Again, these can change, right? F Rocky Top. God, that stupid song, man. All right. My next question for you. Do you like this 1 versus 2 SEC title format? This is new. It's used to be the East versus the West, and you just had to win the East, and you had to win the West, and then they met. This SEC title with 1 and 2 is about to get serious. So do you like this 1 versus 2 format, or do you like kind of the old East versus West? Brian Stack says, no, there are some soft schedules that could easily put a team on the top who isn't the best in the SEC. Texas A&M, for example. I love that point. J.S. Webb is saying no. Mitchell is saying there's no way any of you can name 3 college O. He's still on the O lines. Yeah. You're actually making a good point, though. I'm starting to I might change my answer to elite. Veen is saying, I miss the East-West. Yeah, so a lot of people don't like the format. Okay. I was going to see, I kind of go with the first point is like, if you look to Ole Miss and Texas and kind of their SEC slate, I feel that they have better opportunities to make the 1 versus 2. You know, it's a different draw every year on who you're playing, you know, here or there. I think Alabama has a tough road to make the 1 or 2. I do think, though, whoever plays 1 versus 2, man, credit to you if you're able to come out with a gauntlet and win the SEC title this year. I kind of feel that the SEC championship, and I get it, you know, there's maybe the schedules, but if you can survive and you can win the SEC title, man, that credit to you. It's going to be hard to get there and hard to win it. And Texas does have a weak schedule. I mean, I know they do host Georgia, but other than that, if you look up their schedule, it's pretty light. So I think they do have an easy path to the SEC title game. They do host Georgia, just like Alabama did. So I was curious to kind of get, you know, your thoughts on the 1 versus 2. The Big 12 did it last year. And you had a couple rematch games. That's why I was saying, you know, look, depending on what happens, and this is a long time, you know, away from the end of the season, but Texas and Oklahoma played twice last year. Didn't they? Or did Oklahoma? I can't remember who played in the Big 12, but there was an opportunity for them to play in the back end. But Alabama and Georgia could. You know, there could be rematches in the SEC title. There could be rematches in the playoffs. All right. So my next yes or no, and look, if you have watched any of these assistant coaches, this is beautiful. Being able to understand and listen to these assistant coaches talk to the media, yo, it's amazing. These guys are head football coaches or future head football coaches. I was looking like Mo Lindquist yesterday. That interview, straight fire. The way that he's dialed in, that's how Alabama players are getting coached every single day. That's the standard that they get every single day. And someone inside the comment box, I'm not sure if they knew or not, but they said they were like, did you know that they were like, he sounds like a head football coach. He was a head football coach. And I'm not being, you know, snarky. He was. And so was Kane Womack. These guys were head football coaches. Kane Womack at South Alabama, which is Division I, and Mo Lindquist at Buffalo, which is also Division I. Mo Lindquist also coached in the NFL. Also helped Trayvon Diggs, right, with the Cowboys. So my question to you is, do you think Alabama will lose at least 3 assistants at the end of the year? And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here. I'm starting to think about it. The way that these coaches are absolutely rolling, right? If you can't get the head coach, you start to pick parts of the assistant coaching staff. This always happened to Coach Saban. That's why it was always remarkable to see him again and again and again lose all his assistant coaches and still be able to retool and, you know, make a run for the title. Man, people are going to be wanting Kane Womack. I mean, he is going to be highly sought after. Mo Lindquist is probably going to have a lot of opportunities as well. So, man, it's hard. You know, and this is something that you always deal with at the end of the season. The more success you have, the more that these coaches are going to have opportunities. But the same thing with the players, too, right? The way that NIL is working, the transfer portal, man, if you're not getting paid and you're not getting played, no, you're going to have opportunities to go somewhere else to get paid. Man, J-Bach, I didn't see that. Florida already looking at Womack. I didn't see that, but it's not going to be surprising to me to see these other guys get opportunities at other places just because of the quality staff that Coach Kalen DeBoer has assembled. Now, in the past, we could talk to assistant coaches at the beginning of the season, which was media day, and at bowl games. But other than that, you could not talk to assistant coaches like you can now. And yesterday, I was just thinking about that. I was like listening to Mo Lindquist, and man, he just got me fired up. I was like, the guy is so dialed in. He's like, the next opponent's Vanderbilt, and we have to be able to, do A, B, C, D, E, F, G in order to disrupt, the quarterback passing the football. I'm sure you guys saw it. It was a really great interview. Dude's a baller. So is Jamarcus Shepard, right? All these guys. Kapilovic, he's great. The staff is so good. Man, Coach Kalen DeBoer did such a good job with the staff. All right. My last question to you. All right. And I thought about this when I was, drinking the mug. Got this. This is my new mug. I have 2 of them. But I just want to ask, just straight up. Yeah, he does, man. If they did, X-rays, he'd have that dog in him for sure, man. That was impressive to see. Gotta want it. Like, you gotta be able to do your job at that level. You get here, that doesn't mean you made it. If you get to Alabama and you're a coach, that's not the end point. You didn't make it. Now, for the head coach, yeah, this is the pinnacle. But as an assistant coach, you have to prove your value every single day. You're working with NFL players. You are held to an amazing standard of coaching to be able to get these guys up every single week and develop these players to go in the NFL. So I got a question for you. Who is your all-time favorite Alabama player and why? I know I didn't give you a lot of time to think about it, but just shoot from the hip here. It's a hard question. It is this is probably the hardest question. I'm sorry. I don't know why I did this to you this morning. I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not trying to get you riled up. But who is your favorite Alabama football player? So, I've been covering the team on a daily basis since 2016. I've seen a lot of great players. I'm very analytical. And I like the stats and I like what they've done, but I have so much respect for, and it's tough for me to decide this too, but I have so much respect for guys who just do their job, like just finish and have that ultra dog mentality. And that's why I'm going with Devontae Smith as my favorite player. The guy never complained. He stayed after practice. He got there early. The mindset and the ability to kind of block out the noise and to turn it up and, be the ultra alpha, kind of just that Mamba mentality that few players have, that few people have. All right, so I'm seeing Tua, Calvin Ridley, Julio, Sean Alexander are with 2. Johnny Musso, Italian Stallion. Sean Alexander getting a lot of votes. Julio, Sean Alexander, Derrick Henry, Biscuit. I love to watch Derrick Henry. It's like Derrick Henry and Sean Alexander race right now. Henry and Minka. Man, Minka was that. How could you not? Man, I know it's hard. Sean Alexander carried Alabama. Derek Thomas. Yeah, there's one. And these are, relatively, newer names. But, yeah, I mean, if we had an older group watching, it would be interesting to see what they said. Najee Harris. Najee Harris would beat Vinny Cincinnati. David the Deuce. You know what? Run the table. I went back just recently, and I was watching some David Palmer highlights. Yo, this is your homework, okay? Go back and just type in on YouTube when you have some downtime, David Palmer highlights, and just sit back. How many punt returns did he return? Why would you keep kicking it to him? Alex is already saying Ryan Williams. He's just like Ryan Williams. Mike G saying Greg McElroy. Dylan King is saying Eddie Jackson. Jay Coker, Brody Croyle. I mean, we could go on and on and on. This is a show in itself, right? Jamal was dope. He just got here. Ozzie Newsome. Javier Arenas. I'm serious. Like, why do you keep kicking to these guys? Terrence Cody. I was waiting for Terrence Cody to come up. John, what's up, man? Appreciate you being a fan funder. Tyson, what's up, man? Thomas Boyd. You know what? Jalen Hurts. I was thinking about that too. I like the way that he carried himself as an individual. The way he was a teammate. Freddie Kitchens. John Hanna. Man. Maybe we'll do this like in the off season. You know, it'd be cool if we do like during the week, like spotlighting, you know, I don't know, 100 days of Alabama greats, right? And every day we maybe call in. We do I could do like a profile of the player, you know, key points in the guy's career, what they're doing now, and then you guys could call in and tell me what you remember about the player. Maybe that's the way that we'll pass the time in the springtime or like in the summertime or something like that, right? I don't know. That idea just came to me. Trent Richardson, yeah. And you know what? When I talk Tyler Watts, you know, when I ask people that watched the great Alabama running backs, man, you know what? Like, out of all the running backs that have rolled through here and all the elite running backs, right? Ingram, Henry, right? Like, you know what? A lot of people say, and I've asked a lot of people, anytime I take an Uber somewhere, right? And if someone has lived here for like, you know, 20, 30 years or whatever, I'll ask them, be like, you know, what running backs or, you know, what players kind of stand out to you? Or what do you remember? And they always say Trent Richardson. And they say that what Trent Richardson was able to do on the field was like completely different compared to the other teams, other players, I mean. Like, he's like, yo, Trent Richardson, it was like mind-bending. So, I mean, I know it's a tough question, but I just wanted to, I was thinking about it today. Well, I got it because I saw these mugs. So they have this one. There was like 10 players. I saw, these are the ones that I remember. These are at Dick's Sporting Goods. So they had Devontae. I got the Derrick Henry one. There was Tua. There was Bryce. I think there was a Calvin Ridley. There was a Mac Jones. Mac was dope too. Came in one season. He didn't complain. He could have bounced out. He could have left anywhere. Came in and just all he did was lead Alabama to a perfect season. Remember how dialed in he was? Remember when he was naming all the players of Missouri's defense and like what they did for a living and stuff and their girlfriends and stuff? Man. And his passing efficiency was wild. All right, so this is Seth McLaughlin. Yo, fam, I hope you guys enjoyed my segment today. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Stay blessed. Be good people. Just enjoy this beautiful thing we got called life. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk Alabama football. Please support all of your, other YouTube shows and all your other websites out there that cover Alabama football. There's a lot of great talent out there that is covering the Alabama Crimson Tide. Whether they got a big channel, small channel, whether, your recruiting sites, whatever it is. Like I've seen all of those guys work. And they do an amazing job. So definitely support all your Alabama Crimson Tide, people, and support the players. You can go out. I got these at Dick's Sporting Goods. I saw some Athletes Thread stuff there. Not a lot, but I did see this. So, definitely go support the players. I appreciate you guys. As news happens, I got you covered right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Think about following us on Facebook, Bama Football on Facebook. Also on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and on Instagram, Mr. Kyle Henderson, if you want to get some of that extra motivation, on some of my workouts and stuff like that. Other than that, I appreciate you guys. I'm a father, most importantly. I'm always trying to work on my spirituality, and every single show that I do from here is from my heart. So I appreciate you guys, and thank you very much for being here. From beautiful Hollywood, Alabama, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch up with you soon right here on Bama Football.